going to be crazy.
But that's, yeah, you say we are going to be crazy, but it depends on the energy level. Like, I
Yeah.
believe that
Yes.
it's almost like in a dark room, you have some kind of, how they call it, torch, yeah? And noticing, it's like you put torch in that corner, oh, I see something, oh, and then you put it in another corner, oh, I see this one. Awareness, switch on the light,
It's
boom,
all inclusive.
boom,
Awareness
receive it
is
all.
all inclusive in my
Yes.
personal experience, and noticing is a quality of awareness, because if you don't notice, you cannot have awareness, as well as the awareness includes noticing, is a part of this.
Yeah, that's exactly, I call it like a partial kind of thing, and it's not global enough. And according to some kind of those spiritual guys, awareness has lots of levels, even that
Yes.
global one, because you could be, like that enlightenment kind of state of enlightenment. They describe it as like boom. Yeah, I had actually glimpse once. Once I had that glimpse of
The
that.
problem is that we all are enlightened, but we don't notice it enough.
We all enlightened? I don't think so. I mean, to be honest.
Enlightenment is the truth is that we all are aware, but we forget. And enlightenment, in the definition of my teacher, is the end of suffering, as they described likewise the Holiness, the Dalai Lama, the other Tibetan masters. They don't define really enlightenment what it is, because it's each of us has a different experience and realization of the enlightenment. And it doesn't look like something that it's, oh, you are always, oh, super happy or joyful. It's all
No.
inclusive. You can experience from pain and grief to highest level of bliss. But, um, and it's not only noticing,
No, no,
is
no. Enlightenment is not only noticing, but yeah, I don't think. Yeah, it's
and is also inexhaustibly expanding. There is not an end.
yeah.
You notice when you begin to know that you are all and all are you.
Well,
And then
I'm definitely not at that stage, for sure. I am not all at all. I mean, it's like, yeah, I'm joking right now, but yeah,
I don't think so, Alex,
when you are
but
meditating, there are some glimpses of it, but I would never say that I actually enlightened, because I actually had that feeling once, and I know how different it is from my normal state. It's very
you
different.
have to allow yourself, when you
Well,
are aware that you are all is you, even to feel all the fear.
if it
That
would be
is
that easy, Ren, allow yourself. I mean, I agree. When those guys, the gurus, tell you that enlightenment is the easiest thing on earth, I
no,
do,
it's not.
I do believe them, but it's, like very few people have really experienced it. I mean, it's not really that simple stuff.
It's not easy.
Yeah.
You have to destroy everything you believe.
Well, so
It's not
sorry,
it's
we were talking about, okay, so guys,
awareness.
focus. So what we will be talking?
No, awareness. I was aware, and I was very intentional when I put my hearing and necklace here, because I say these are one of my favorite groups. I want to be nice
Yeah.
for them, because I woke up this morning with, a little bit not very well, and I said, but this can make me feel better, and so I can be better. And when I was thinking about you, Alex, I started to laugh, because I think this is one of the funniest relationships that I have after my cat.
Well, I'm just very entertaining type of personality. I mean, that's what I am.
And I love that. I
Yeah.
really love that very much.
Even though even though my wife, when she met me, she said I have kind of PhD face, but later, she recognized that, behind that face, actually, there is a clown. literally.
Mm.
Yeah. Actually,
PhD was just a mask.
yeah, I like actually to have to joke about practically everything. I mean, it's nice. And so we will be talking. We will be talking about we will be talking about awareness. I am very happy to talk about that and intention behind it. So what is it? How to define it? I mean, what kind of, like, try to discuss, try to kind of find some kind of categories, and everyone will explain what they think intention is, right? I think it's one of the nice kind of topics. Agreed?
I think
Intention.
when I think about intention, it's like really slippery for me. It's hard to hold on to, the meaning of it, because it's like whatever, and like I said, I've been thinking about that in my life. Usually whatever I'm talking about, I've been through some kind of, event, episode that brought it to my mind. And I was thinking about when we were talking about the rules of interrupting the rules. And it was like, okay, we know what the rules are. And if we interrupt them, that's intention. We're intentionally, interrupting them for a reason. And intention is like a reason. Why are you doing this? For me, okay, like Irene was saying, this morning she got up, she wasn't feeling well. And she said, I'm going to put on this and this, and it makes me feel good. She was aware that she wasn't feeling good. But when she actually put on her jewelry and her outfit, the intention was to make, what was the results that she wanted? The result was to make her feel better.
Very close. I mean, I had a very similar definition. What comes to my mind when I hear the word intention is if I want to define how I want to be. I mean, it's not a result as a. It's more like. It's like, for example, I used to have that kind of. I call it the section intention. Like, for example, during a day, if I start next section, by next section I mean, for example, I'm going right now to buy some water. I don't know, in supermarket. Yeah, it's like a going out, buy water, and come back, and it's kind of segment. Yeah, it's going to take me 15 minutes. So, Mike, I ask myself a question: what will be my intention during this segment? And at the same time, it's in my mind, it's almost like asking myself how I would like to be during this 15 minutes. That's what intention means for me. It's not a result in terms of bringing water, or
Right.
like, it's more like I cannot even say anything else. How I want to be during or in that period. That's my intention.
Maybe intention is to results, as notice is to awareness.
John,
Maybe we get
I think we lost in the woods and without.
So no, you're not lost in the woods completely. So actually, what's interesting? I think, Alex, when you moved it into how I want to be.
Mhm.
So I'll give you an example of what I did this weekend. And this is actually based on something that people may have heard of Wayne Dyer. And so one of the things that he talked about in intention
Mhm.
was what you said about how I want to be, but what he called it was making a choice.
Mhm.
And I actually played with this weekend because I watched my emotions going up and down all weekend. Sometimes I was relaxed, sometimes I was anxious. I mean, it was all over the place. And what I did is when I was aware of my body being in that really anxious place,
Mhm.
and getting agitated. I was watching the news, and then I mean, everything that could just possibly get you going. And I kept thinking, this is, for us here, it was a holiday weekend. And it was beautiful weather here. This was an opportunity to truly relax and enjoy myself. And what I did is I literally sat down and I said, I choose to feel good. I choose to be in peace. I choose to feel calm. And I repeated this over and over. I have to tell you, it worked. It
Mhm.
worked. But my attention was then put on my intention, and I made a choice. And I think that's that little piece in there. It's choosing how I want to be. And for me, it was literally to voice that, like, out into the universe. I mean, I literally kind of said it like, I choose to feel good right now. I tricked my brain. I
Mhm.
tricked my brain. And when there were moments of disruption, I went back to it again. So from that experience, and this is the first time I really put my intention in making that choice. It really worked for me. And it didn't, of course, stick the whole time. But when I became aware, particularly of my body, and my thoughts, that's where I was able to begin to, and this is interesting, uh, noticing that Alice said, noticing is like the glance. Awareness for me is like staring at it. It's really
Mhm. Yeah.
putting a focus on it. So
Mhm.
this noticing the glance, staring at the awareness, and then for me making a choice
Yeah.
around how my body's feeling. So anyways, I don't know if I've added extra layers here,
You
but
did. I like it. I mean,
Yeah.
that the
majority of people
choice.
are not aware that there is a muscle where you can have a choice, and you can command, how you are going to feel or how you would like to be. I mean, yeah, I think it's yeah,
Yeah.
something
And
similar. Please, Alice.
Wayne Dyer, that's who got me locked into that intention. But I mean, at first, when I started reading it, um, I kept like it just kept slipping away. I would get a hold of it, then it would kind of slip away, and it was kind of like the wind. I was trying to catch the wind
Mm,
and hold on to it, but I could kind of understand it, but then it would slip away, and I would have to, okay, let me read this part again until, and I'm not sure now. Sometime I have it, and sometime it just,
nice,
I can't hold on to it.
nice. When you
But
said
it's really powerful.
like a wind, when you are trying to catch the wind, I mean, the
Yeah.
only way is to actually keep your hand open, and it's all about direction. If you have it in the right direction, yeah, you feel it. I mean, this is the interesting kind of, it's almost, yeah, intention. That's why I was in my in my model, I was describing intention as a direction. Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, and I remember when I was in my coaching courses, 2007, and every single time before the whole day of NLP course and then coaching course, I was asking myself, okay, how I would like to be today. And sometimes I say, okay, I want to be curious, I want to be having fun, I want to relax, I don't want to pay attention to I don't want to try to learn. I just want to be open book and just let things happen and learn kind of in a very spontaneous way. So it's like I was telling you myself like how I would like to be. That's my intention for this day. And yeah, it actually worked very often.
Yeah.
Yeah. So cool. So we were going to be, by the way, I don't know, have we already covered the whole topic? Because I actually pressed the record button. I could just upload the whole video and we're done. You know, we don't even need to go for the next week
Always
and do the
sneaky.
same. So maybe we still kind of come up with some other topics, or we're going to talk about intention. Guys,
No,
decide.
I think that can be some other topic. I think could be by thinking of awareness. I don't know. I don't have the title. I let to the English native choose the title. But about having awareness on how our work style changed because of the virtual stuff. You know, we are changed all the way we work. And this is important, especially for companies that, for example, teams that used to be in person now are virtual. How this changed the way to connect, to create relationship, to create also psychological safety. How this changed also our own creativity, how we see things in this different world. You know, I have the feeling that I know you from the eternity, for example, and I am sure that if I work in a project with John, we spend 90% of time by laughing and 10% of working. And it's, you know, it's a wonderful atmosphere, and it happened spontaneously. We never met in person, but it's like we know each other from eternity.
Yeah.
And how it works for other people. So how can we even, it's another creative way to process this new work. You have to challenge your own creativity, your own style, what you believed before, and adapt or being flexible.
Powerful topic. I'm not really expert in a teamwork or any kind of corporate stuff, but you know, in some ways, we are operating almost like a virtual team. You know, yeah, it's like I could relate in some parts, but I have like a very limited experience in terms of really corporate. I think John is and Alice probably you spend kind of majority of your life probably working in some some companies, and you probably can tell a lot about
what struck me when Irina was talking and she was saying that she had never met John, and yet she feel like she know him, you know, and we've talked about that before, how we somehow we all stumble into this virtual room, and maybe we didn't stumble, maybe we were guided into this virtual room. So when she was talking about that, what popped in my mind was soul connection.
Yeah.
How this pandemic and, you know, it's pushed where it's separated some people, how it has also brought different people from different parts of the world into one place. And here we are all connected. And it just seemed right. It seemed like we have known, to me, it seemed like I have known you guys forever, you know? So that's what struck me, that kind of connection.
That's actually interesting. I mean, I agree. It is a weird thing. No, seriously, because I always considered, even though in terms of business, I started and everything online, and I see the value and would make perfect sense to develop it. But in terms of quality, I always considered physical, face-to-face kind of interaction is the like a much higher quality type of connection. And somehow right now I think the borders are actually dissolving. I'm not even sure the yeah, it's really
Maybe we are experiencing another level of energy, Alex, because of this situation we are obliged in somehow to develop much more the spiritual aspect of connection than the physical aspect. That is still important, but I think we are more focused on the spiritual level.
well automatically, yeah, because that's how it is. Yeah, it's very interesting. Yeah, lots of stuff is happening. And the
I
question is, yeah, please, John.
no, I know. I was just I agree with Irene. I think being on virtual, and I've been fortunate to be able to deal with both. Whenever the technology, when I was in the company, we had offices overseas, and so we were able to connect via, you know, platforms like Zoom. People have, I've had these conversations with people about this kind of idea of relationship. And their mindset has been that only relationships can be created kind of face to face, right? And physically. And I've challenged them because I said that everything that I've been doing for several years now has all been virtual. And I am creating relationships with people virtually all over the world. And to Irene's point, I think we're having to engage ourselves at a very different level. We're having to look in this screen, and actually my sense is, a lot of people might not recognize what they're doing. They're starting to use more of their intuition. They're starting to use more of watching. If you look at somebody on the screen, you're watching their eyes, you're watching where they're looking. When I was in a big conference room sitting around a table, that was lost only if I was just looking at that one person, or I was aware of the voice. But this has kind of created a different presence that we are, and some people I think are much better at it, and some are still learning to be comfortable in this environment, especially people who may be more introverted and don't like that kind of exposure,
Yeah.
like Alice just did. But I do agree. I think we're starting to tap in to different levels of ourselves that we didn't utilize before. It's not that they were never there. I just think this idea of presence and the idea of really listening, um, more deeply than we might have before, but also intuition. I can pick up things. I feel very differently when I'm sitting as an environment, and I think that ultimately lends to the creation of relationship, the
Yeah.
ability to connect.
Yeah.
So I'm taking all the pieces, the threads that everybody has brought here, and kind of weaving them together, because I think there are benefits to this, and I
Yeah.
think that we are experiencing something at a deeper level, at a different energy, than we have when we were in the workplace or
Yeah.
in an
Yeah.
office.
I remember when I was working and when we would have a meeting and I had a tablet that I would take in with me. And when they would start writing, start talking, I would start doodling. And I have some beautiful artwork. I really, and it was the same thing over and over. But when I'm online and I'm talking to someone, I am intentionally listening. I'm watching not only them, but I'm also watching myself. You know, am I sitting right? You know, before I come on, okay, let me see, make sure nothing is in my nose. All those things and we have allowed ourselves maybe to be connected again. How everybody was saying this is going to disconnect us. It's actually uh, touching a place in us that's making us more connected if
Well,
we give ourselves permission, if we allow ourselves. I mean, it's amazing to me how it's creating this connection and relationship. When John said, use the word relationships, it can actually create relationship where everyone just say, oh, we're just so disconnected. We will never, it's so impersonal. But that place, that gut, that whatever inside of us allows us to actually connect.
well, I see it like when you, Alice, right now describing kind of the connection, disconnection. I see kind of a river, and like the whole energy of our, I don't know, planet or human mankind is kind of almost like a energy of like a river. And then you suddenly you close the part of that river, you know, you closed it, and as a result the whole river is actually become flooded and pouring into that other channel. So as a result, I believe there is like physical disconnection, almost like created some kind of huge stream into the other types of connections. I
You
mean,
can
maybe,
say it
yeah.
spiritual.
Oh, spiritual, yeah. I mean, yeah, yeah, I believe so. But
Yeah,
somehow people are kind of finding each other and trying
yeah.
to connect in other ways. So it's not physical, then you know all other possible ways. And spiritual is definitely one of the channels. And it's interesting, yeah, how.
I use it because it's a word recognized. I can use other definition, but maybe people cannot connect with those definitions. But I thought spiritual was intended to include the way we are connected through energy, through intuition, through other channel, as you say, that are not the common kinesthetic channel.
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
It is important, but what can you do? We are social creature. We need to feel connection. And this new way of feeling is just a new way of feeling that we didn't experience before.
That's a topic,
Yeah.
connections, relationship connections.
So what's
you,
your opinion? Are we getting better? Is it a good thing in terms of, is it improving something? Or it's just deviation, and as soon as we have like, I don't know, vaccine and everyone is gonna go
I
back?
think that more sooner rather than later this situation is going to an end, but until this we have the occasion to develop another capacity of our human capacities, and it could be a good occasion when this situation will go to an end to use both
Hmm.
with awareness, with
Yeah,
intention, deliberately. So how can we be uh, you know even more connected after, depending the people, because you see that many times we see people that were friends now are no longer, and the contrary, people that never met become great friends. And this is life. This is how life is goes. If I think about myself, I am an introvert, and sometimes being isolated is a blessing.
mhm.
Yeah.
So, uh, but I love deep relationship, meaningful relationships. And to me, the challenge is this: how can we connect all our capacities to connect?
You mean increase
Can
capacities, yeah? Or
Yes,
you know,
spiritual, physical, mental.
all of those. But I'm going to take it one more notch because I picked up on something that that Alice said, but kind of filling in where Irene went. Think about how many times we actually see ourselves. Literally seeing ourselves. In the past, maybe in the mirror while you were in the bathroom brushing your teeth, right? Or getting dressed and you see yourself. It seems to me that we're at this different place now where people are having to see themselves. With both of my sons, there's this desire for them not to be on the screen in class. And I have, because it's, again, they're just not comfortable seeing themselves. And I keep saying to them, please, please keep your camera on. Because I also know it's because they're seeing themselves and they've not gotten used to seeing themselves. But here's my thing. Will it mean that because we become more comfortable actually seeing and hearing ourselves, as I'm speaking, I'm actually looking at myself. I'm going to say this, I'm almost creating a relationship with myself that I may not have had before, that I'm seeing myself as part of this whole. You know, when you're sitting around a table, you can almost feel like you're outside of that. I know it's a little deep, but it just struck me that what if it were that we are creating deeper connection with ourself, which I think is so important to be able to create connection with others. You know, it's the whole like love yourself and your, you know, and your neighbor. Well, I think that's the issue. We have to love ourselves too, or at least connect with ourselves in order to understand that connection with others. I think this gives us a whole platform for people who are aware of it to really begin to get comfortable with seeing themselves, hearing themselves, you know. And so will that allow us also to have deeper connections with people? Will we be more open? I don't know, but I wanted to take it in that different level because as I sat there and I was staring at myself, I thought, this is new for so many people
Wow.
to see themselves
That,
almost like a mirror.
really nice point, and I never thought about this at all. And maybe reason why I never thought, because I don't really look at myself ever.
Oh, really?
I look at the camera, and it's not even on my screen. So I mean, I because I'm kind of professional habit. I'm working with clients, and I look in them in their eye, kind of, and this is the camera. That's why I look. I mean, if I start looking to myself, that's how it's gonna look like. That's as I look at myself. I mean, and so I'm not looking, but I have like a side vision. Yeah, I know that John and Alice, yeah, you are there. I see like I see your uh, like your silhouettes and kind of, but as a side, but not. I'm looking at camera, and yeah, that would be really cool. I was just thinking about invention. What if the camera would be so small and some kind of have some kind of magnetic that I could actually stick it here on the screen, and then I could look straight into myself. That would be really nice. I mean, but so far camera is kind of elsewhere, so it's not on the screen.
So
So,
that's a topic, self-connection. Self-connection.
yeah,
That's
So
yeah,
we
a,
that's
have three
powerful, super
topics.
powerful.
yes,
Self
yes,
connection is super powerful, and John,
yes,
it's just brilliant what you noticed
yes.
of actually observing yourself on the screen and actually see it almost like an out of body experience kind of.
Yeah,
So that's
yeah,
pretty cool. You know,
yes.
I never thought about that. It's really amazing. And subconsciously, definitely, you are kind of making a relationship to yourself because all the time you are staring at yourself. Yeah, I never thought about that.
And I think that honestly for me, I think that's part of the challenge that we're dealing with right now
Yeah,
is that
yes,
people are so focused on this outside external, either you're with me, against me, you're my enemy, you're my friend, and we continue to move away from ourselves. And in a way, this platform requires you to engage in some way with yourself and with others. And I really think that that's part of this mix of connecting with others, is that
Wow.
we have, I believe that it's important for us to be able to connect with ourselves, to really create these deep relationships with others. Um, but yeah, and and it goes even, it goes to that kind of the true self versus the ego self, or it's the separate selves. But anyways, we'll keep it at
Don't
creating
go,
that
don't go,
no, I'm
don't go
not going to go.
any further.
That's later on down the road.
That's one more niche up,
Yeah,
Just
that's
take it
another
easy.
one.
Yeah,
But I do think this kind of self connection
yeah, that's right.
is I call it kind of the missing link in our times right now,
Yeah.
because I think that it's creating a little distance with people, because if you're going away from yourself, how are you going to go towards others? And create that. I don't know, but
Yeah.
anyways, but I do think too, relationships and connection in this format. And I have to tell you, I don't think this is going away. The conversations that they're having in the United States is companies are starting to look at this and say, you know
Mhm.
what? It seems to be working. We could actually save money. I mean, there's a financial piece.
Mhm.
If they're able to unload, the office buildings and the real estate that they have, um, I can see where this
Yeah.
actually may be more of a reality.
Yeah.
Um,
Before it was like a phenomenal, some virtual teams and new companies. Now every single company kind of put
Mhm.
that into that situation, and some of them found like actually it does work. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's a huge, huge shift. I,
It's convenient for many ways, even for employees, because they
yeah,
don't need to use, the car to go to the workplace, or,
all that
sometimes,
traveling, all that
yeah,
back and forth
Yeah.
thing, spending, some people are spending hours, traveling back and forth
yes.
every day.
yeah, I
How
used to spend hours in traffic,
how
and
much
I'll tell you,
energy you need
yeah.
to deliver
Well, I
yourself.
was exhausted by the time I got to the office because
Yeah.
I was so overwhelmed. And I'll make you laugh because I haven't driven on the major highways here for a while, and I had to go to an appointment this morning, and I had to
It's
get on the
weird.
busiest part, and I had to do the I choose to be calm. I mean, I was hyperventilating. The
Yeah.
cars were whizzing by me. I mean, I and this was my element for so
Mm.
many years, but I went back into that and thought, I mean, my body responded to it, almost like this intrinsic, like we're going back to the old habit of that tension, um,
Yeah.
and and there were less cars, but it's so interesting how things can change, and that this could be a huge opportunity. I
Yeah.
think, to Irene's point, though, ultimately, what's going to be needed? What needs to happen? And you talked a little bit about adapting. You know what I mean?
I think that what is popping up in my mind now is that we can really transform this in energy. How to make more sustainable choices, because for example, this epidemic is telling us that we have made a lot of pollution in the air, in the waters, whatever it is, and this facilitates the spreading of any kind of bacteria, viruses, and all sorts of illnesses. Because I cannot forget that, for example, in United States, you have different laws than Europe, and you have a higher rate of cancer disease in the world, and there is a why. And also here we experience, for example, in the south of Italy, we didn't have the same amount of epidemic because there are a lot of places completely sustainable, and those places are the places where there was no one ill, no one. We have a town in Sicily that they don't have any COVID hospital department, nothing at all. They are completely free, completely. And we have to look at those examples to follow and say they use less cars, they live in factories, they live in the countryside. It's much more sustainable kind of life, natural life. So what we are learning from this situation, how this new way of working can be transformative on our way to live the planet Earth itself.
Well, I think you are going kind of too far. Seriously. No, I mean,
But it's in my mind, it's working
yes,
like
yeah,
this. I cannot stop it.
yeah,
And I
I know,
want
I
to be
know. No, I'm
spontaneous.
not criticizing, but like when you said like, okay, there are some villages where people are not sick, and I was just immediately thinking about San Paulo, 28 million people, and how like what you're supposed to do with them. They cannot live in in the forest. They if they all go to the forest, then the forest will be very populated as a result. So it's like there are some limitations, unless yeah, that's why I'm just curious. Yeah, maybe like I'm just curious that we could discuss and maybe come up with some interesting points between four of us. But in terms of solving global, like economical or global planet Earth problems, I would kind of maybe step aside.
Oh, I don't want to solve the problem. I want
Yeah,
just ask questions.
yeah, questions. Yeah, how we can. Yeah, question is a good one. How we could put that, for example, in India, 1.5 billion people, so they could live in the countryside and kind of, not too populated and just, yeah. I mean, that's a good question. I agree.
They ask themselves quite often, to be honest, because I have many Indian friends, and they think about how polluted is
Oh
India.
yeah, it's crazy. It's polluted, and Asia also, and in China, for example, I don't know, like if you compare with Europe or United States, I think they have more than 50 cities. I think more than 20 million people each. Can you believe it? I mean,
No, I cannot. I think my town is perfect to me. For an
yeah.
introvert, we have 60,000 people here. We are 60,000, and it's a perfect number.
But you're kind of, you're lucky one. You were born kind of. But if you would be born in Beijing, what would you say?
I
You're
need
not
to
lucky one.
adapt and find my
Exactly.
my
Yes.
green place.
Yes, your green place, exactly. Yeah. So it's like people are in different situations and different places around the world, and yeah, I agree. There are big questions about sustainability. To be honest, I was thinking, so Mother Earth, just supposed to shake one day, and do something, and as a result, probably there will be less of us, and that would be the kind of I would assume kind of easiest way to deal with the human mankind. But yeah, because it's quite a lot of people, 7 billion people, and I read some research that they say in 2050 there will be more than 10 billion people, and I don't know. I mean, if right now we have issues with the water and kind of pollution, and so what will be 25 years later when there will be 10 billion people, like twice more?
Um,
That's a
I
good question
don't. I
also.
don't. There are a lot of answers you can give to this question, but it will not easy in any case,
Yeah.
because I think we can take the responsibility and control how much human being we want to put out. And for example, I choose to don't have children for this reason. I don't want to be responsible to overpopulate Earth, but I don't think this could be a choice for all of us.
Yeah.
It could be, because choices, those kind of choices must come from the heart. From the heart. If they are not from the heart, you will always have something to regret, something to, I don't want to do this. And there are also a lot of orphans.
Yeah, true. Guys, what do you think, Alice? John, we're moving, we are
Adopt the orphans.
practically surfing over that one topic of another.
Well, I think, but for me, I think, but even with what all was said, I think this ultimately comes back to that self connection. What does that mean? I think what keeps
Mhm.
coming up to, we've been, in so many of us have been conditioned about being that the individualism. This has been a conversation that's been happening a lot in the United States. I'm going to do what I want to do because I have been taught that I'm just going to look out for me. And I think that, and again, this is conditioning. This has been kind of our messaging. And I think we're at a place now where has to shift. That it's about us. It's not about the me. It's about all of us. But I think part of what feeds into that is that we have to connect with ourselves. I believe that I do. The people who are so caught up in being that individual don't have a relationship with themselves. And the reason why I say that is, if you have a relationship with yourself, I believe it's important for you to have relationships with others. That they go hand in hand, and that I'm thinking beyond myself because I value myself and I value relationships.
Yeah.
So that's my own take on it, but I think self-connection is so critically important because it starts creating a different path for people. And I
Yeah.
think people have avoided themselves. I don't know.
Well, I agree. It's like if you have ability to create relationship, it's a quality, and it's impossible. If you do have that ability, you're supposed to find and a relationship with yourself. Or create it, because it's ability to have a relationship. And if you are not able to do it with yourself, then you don't have that ability. Meaning there will be no relationship with others. And yeah.
Or they'll be they're not going to be at the level and at that energy level that's required right now. It's
Yeah.
not at that deeper level. It's very surface. It's at that top level of relationship. And I think we're in this space. It needs to go deeper.
But tell me, please, when you're talking about relationship with yourself, so what changes? So what is the first and instant manifestation that you established a relationship with yourself? What would be the first thing people experience from your point of view?
I have to think about that. Maybe that's what we talk about next time, Alex.
Yes. Okay. So we do have topic relationship with yourself. And what does it mean?
What does it mean?
How people would recognize? Do I have a relationship? What do you think? Do I have a relationship with myself or not? What do you think? Can you judge? How? That would be, I'm not asking you to answer right now, but it would be a topic,
think
right?
if when you meet a person and you talk to them, if they're when you're just concerned, like John was saying, where here in America, I'm going to be myself. I'm going to do what's right for me. That's not self-connection. That's selfish. That's when you're thinking of only you. When you have a self-connection, you're thinking you have looked inside of you, and what is inside of me that could be good for the whole, not just me.
Well,
I know me, I see me, and how can I be good for the whole? But when it's just about you, that's selfish. That's not a self connection.
then we need to have a talk about true self and false self, meaning ego or selfishness.
Yeah.
That's a really nice topic because
Yeah.
people I mean, it's very different distinction, and Alice, you just said it very clearly. When it comes to benefits for all, or some kind of deeper connection with others, actually it can be done just through connection with the true self, because true self is others. I mean, yeah, okay, that's somehow, it is interesting topic. I would love to talk about that.
Yeah,
So, guys,
going very philosophical.
yeah, that's true. It is philosophical. I agree. I agree. There is some kind of common ground, and some people maybe, yeah, we need to define kind of some parameters how we are talking about that. But guys, would you be able to write down like a topic about true self and ego or versus kind of like, so we could talk next
I
time.
think until now we have at least 3 topics.
Yeah,
Okay?
I
True
have.
self and ego,
Yes.
connection, and awareness with intention.
Yes. Awareness with
That's what I
intention.
have.
Yeah.
From awareness to intention,
Yeah.
self-connection,
Yeah.
and I had written down foreign relationships.
Foreign.
Foreign, yeah, because how this pandemic have created all these relationships, but they're foreign to us.
Yeah.
You know, these are people and things that we never knew,
Yeah.
you know, like before this, we were all foreign to each other.
No,
But now it's a
I knew
relationship.
John, I knew Ren, but yeah, not that how
Yeah.
we've done
For
it
me,
now.
all of these are foreign
Yeah,
relationships.
it's true. That's true. I mean, I connected with many other people in a
Yeah.
totally different level.
Yeah, and I'm sure people all over the world
Yeah.
have created these type of
Amazing.
relationships.
So how would you frame that topic? Like what? Like a phenomena of foreign relationships, yeah? I mean, what would it mean and where it goes? Or
How distance can become closeness. I mean, it's going to take me a while to
but
get
I
the
see where
word,
you're
but
going. Good.
Well,
yeah,
Good, nice. You know, for spirits, you know, there is no such a thing as a distance. So as a result, I agree with friend, we become kind of spiritual as a result, like literally, like, you know, we are using, you know, the electromagnetic field, you know, to connect. So it is kind of closer to spirit for sure.
one day we will talk about quantum entanglement.
Yes, exactly.
About
The Schrödinger kind of the formulas and tunnel, you know, the quantum tunnel, you know, transition.
Oh,
Oh.
okay.
Yeah. We could
Studying
I
all
thought I heard
these
something
things.
different too, Alice. I'm like,
we could switch to
Say
that.
what?
Yeah.
Well,
I,
I will
I think
be.
you and I heard. It's okay. No, so funny. Alice and I were like, but then Irene and Alex were like, yeah, like they totally understood each other. But I was like, Conda, what?
Yeah, that's true. It's a kind of
You know, this is when I want to be relaxed. I read about all this stuff, quantum physics, and people think that I'm totally crazy. But books and science and communication and all these things are my best friends. I don't want to, you know, I don't want to stop to read all these things because I have fun.
Yeah, you don't need to. So we have 3 topics, right? 3 topics, guys. Perfect. So yeah, in terms of which order which, you please decide, because maybe some topics may be already kind of, you know, easier to formulate or almost ready. So at least we have 3 weeks ahead some things to talk about. And to be honest, if you want, I could actually post our today's conversation. I mean, because we touched lots of stuff. I mean, and yeah, why not? I mean, it was nice, interesting. There were some interesting points. I don't know what would be the title. Would you like to title our today's talk like a surfing kind of?
Just talking.
talking. Okay, so
Just talking.
just talking. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So today, just talking, I will post today, and I will upload it to YouTube. And yeah, just talking. And for the next 3 weeks, we already have topics, right?
Fantastic.
Super,
Yeah.
guys. Pleasure to
So
meet you.
I'll
people
put
will know
something-
our true self when
That's
we are
right. That's
not
right. He's very relaxed.
maked up, when we are not perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
So
true.
I will put some stuff in Trello.
Please.
John, you can look at it and do whatever, and you guys can give input,
Yeah.
and we'll
Uh,
get something
Alice,
going.
when you create any card in Trello, please always add members to the card,
Yes.
because otherwise we don't. Sometimes, if you forget that, we don't know that card even exists, because the Trello will notify us if we are members of the card. So you always
Okay.
click yourself, John, me, and then whatever you write, we will be notified.
Yes.
Super. Cool. Okay. Have a good
All
time,
right,
guys.
everybody.
See you next week.
Thank you.
Bye
Bye,
bye.
Bye, guys.
everyone.
Bye.
Bye. Bye-bye.
Bye. Take care.
Take care, guys.